Some big news around the world rugby circles. The next decade, the future is confirmed. Yes, it is going to be a golden decade. The future is set. Fantastic for Australian rugby and for the US as well, the golden nugget that is yet to be tapped into. But Joe, Ireland, they were the preferred bid for next year's Rugby World Cup. How good would that have been?
Yeah, that would have been great because I think the whole country, a little bit like it was in 2011 here, I think the whole country would have embraced it. Similar sort of populations, and it would have been fantastic for the growth of the game in Ireland. It has grown, certainly in the time that I was there through the 10 years, the interest in the game is fantastic, and you know, you never go to the Aviva that it's not pretty much sold out, and there's always a great atmosphere. So I think you know, that's a missed opportunity. At the same time, I'm sure people will love the French experience. I was coaching in France last time it was on in 2007, and you know, it was a great tournament. Mostly, it kind of wasn't quite so good living in France when France got through to that semi-final. But you know, I think at the same time,
Joe being a Kiwi,
yeah, I know I copped a fair bit, but you just got to wear that, and you know, I'm just hoping that doesn't turn out that way this time.
Goldie, you weren't convinced about America. Did you say, who said South Africa's not going to get it for 21 years or something?
No, I'm not 100% convinced, but there's a lot of things I would look at the moment. I talk about the global game, and I'm interested, Joe, because there's all this talk always about the fact how close the teams are, how the sides are getting closer and closer. Do you think that is genuinely the situation right now? As we get to Rugby World Cups, it appears as though teams are timing their runs a little bit better. They're getting themselves prepared that little bit better and looking at it going, you know what, how do we find the right group of players to prepare themselves, which could be 2 years in the future. But it seems as though the strength of the Six Nations, the teams that are evolving, the ones that have performed at the previous Rugby World Cup, wherever it might be, whether it's in Australia, teams are preparing to play better away from home.
Yeah, I think one of the key things about the Rugby World Cup is how fickle it can be. You get a couple of injuries, you know, or a couple of guys aren't available, and things can change very quickly. And I think what we saw in the last Rugby World Cup, even in the playoff period, the kind of South Africans took the quiet route through the playoff rounds. You know, unfortunately, the All Blacks got much better of us. Then, you know, everyone expected that to be the springboard to carry them through, but you get up emotionally, and then if you're just on, because the margins are so fine, you're just on a slight downer. England got up over the top of them and probably deserved to win that one. And then, you know, England, that wasn't quite the springboard because South Africa got up for the following one, and it just didn't look like the same All Black team, the same England team, and that's how fickle the World Cup can be. And you know, timing your run, you know, it is very complicated in timing your run, and even getting the right lead in games. How many games do you have with the risk-reward? Get some rhythm, get a couple of injuries. So you're always trying to best equate what's going to best work for your group, and you're always trying to build strength and depth. And I think one of the things with the Irish coming here in July is that they're going to look to build some strength and depth. They want to be hugely competitive. It's the only country in the world where they haven't won on, you know, opposition soil, so that they'll come loaded, but they'll also come with a view to having a slightly wider squad and building toward, you know, next year in France.
Is that sudden death competition format just so new as well? Because you don't do it in any other tournament, do you?
No, you don't. Like, certainly not in the Six Nations. And I love the Six Nations. It's a one round robin, and it's winner take all. And it's a bit like that in the Rugby Championship as well. So, but it's one of the things that people love about it, because on the day, you know, we actually went into the last Rugby World Cup ranked #1, and people thought that was fantastic, but where you're ranked is so irrelevant when the ball gets kicked off. You know, you could tell all the opposition running at you, hey, you can't knock us over. We won, but we were one step behind most of the day against the All Blacks in the quarterfinal. So it's whoever performs better on the day, that gets through, and that's one of the allures of knockout rugby. You know, we've got some knockout stages coming up in Super, where everything goes back to scratch.
As Highlanders, that's what he's banking on.
I'm coming in. We're sneaking in. We're sneaking in.
Just getting back to your question and discussion we had before. I really agree with the World Cup going to America. But do you ever think it'll come back to New Zealand, Mills?
It's hard. I mean, great as it was, with the atmosphere and things like that, I just don't think we've got the capability to be able to host big stadiums. We've got one major one, and then that's probably got a big factor in terms of the revenue that we generate, in terms of the support. Absolutely, but I think in terms of having
scale of economy, right? It's the scale of economy.
Exactly, and that's obviously why the likes of Australia, I mean, they can provide that sort of. And I suppose the one other sort of country that you might think about is also South Africa, because they've missed out as well. I mean, what's your thoughts on that, Joe, in terms of them returning to having a Rugby World Cup?
Yeah, and obviously they put their bid in, and I think that with the success of Japan, I think there was a real interest in having a solid nation again, like France, where that the economy of scale is really strong. And then, taking a risk again, and maybe, then going back to a known quantity like Australia, and then it may be that they go a risk again, or they maybe go back to South Africa. But I think you're right, with the economy of scale, maybe a shared one. I know that didn't work out last time with New Zealand and Australia, but it has worked out in the past, with both in Europe and that it was planned for down here.
Well, Joe, you can breathe a sigh of relief now you are done. Compared to the pressure cooker environments you've been in, that would have been a walk in the park, though, wouldn't it?
No, I felt pressure.
Stop it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your time. Thanks so much for driving up for our program, and all the very best with what the future may bring.
Thank you, Kirsty. Thanks, JK, Mills.
Good to see you, mate.
Goldie. Yeah.
Go the Blues.
Thanks.
Joe Schmidt, so lucky to get him on the program. We'll have plenty more to come here.
He's out the
on
door.
The breakdown.
He's off and gone. He's off and gone. He's off and gone. He can't get out of here fast enough.
We're going to do our predictions.
God, he's got it.
Oh, so good. Thanks so much, Joe. We've got so much more.
You might never see him again. That was it.
One and done on the breakdown.